All right, so let's kick Druid off here. We're going to start off with a 2-mana spell called Thorn Growth Sentries. And it reads, summon 2 1/2 turtles with taunt. And it is a nature spell. So the first thing I thought of when I saw this card was Dreamway Guardians, which is, I believe, the same cost, but it has lifesteal instead of taunt, which is a fine card in Standard. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think we're playing that in Wild in the Token Druid. So if we're not playing that, I don't think we're playing this. So I'm going to give it a 2.
Yeah, I think I gave it a 1. I'm just not really a big fan of Token Druid in this format right now. So my vote is 1.
Yeah, I give it a 1 as well. I've played a lot of Token Druid lately, but I think there are a lot better Token Druid cards. Sheep?
Yeah, I love Token Druid. I love Aggro Druid. I got the 11-star bonus twice with Aggro Druid.
Nice.
I'm not playing this in my Aggro Druid. I'm just not. I love that they're beasts, but like, no, that's a 1.
Cool.
Yeah, if Sheep says 1, the card's no good. Sheep is like nice. She's so good with Aggro Druid. Yeah, if he says 1.
All right. Okay, so let's move on to the next card. It's a 4-mana spell, Pride's Fury, and it reads, give your minions +1/+3. So I feel like it is probably a good one for Sheepy to talk about if you're going to be buffing up your tokens, but I would just play Savage Roar because it's cheaper and it gives more attack, and I'm not looking to be defensive in that deck. I'm looking to attack you. So I'm going to give this a big old 1. What do you think, Mike?
I gave it a 3. So over time, I've liked Druid more and more. I see a lot of different players who are masters at Druid play different styles of it. So this, for me, goes into that deck where you're playing the Death Knight, a lot of spreading plagues, a lot of defensive, huge taunt minions. I gave this a 3. I like this a lot. I just see more possibilities with these Druid cards than Demon Hunter. So what do you think, Nate?
Yeah, I gave it a 1. I mean, when I looked at this initially, I thought, token deck, and I feel like there's a lot better token buff cards. I think if I was going to use it in a more mid-rangey deck, like I'd be playing, God, I can't think of the name off the top of my head, but it's like utility card, right? Like you either draw a card or you buff your minions. Something like that.
Branching Paths.
Branching Paths, right? So in the 4-mana slot, I'd probably rather use Branching Paths. So I don't know. I mean, I'm not a Druid expert. So, I mean, deep in my heart, like I want all of these to work. I'm just a little skeptical.
Yeah, this is a 1 for me. It's too expensive for the effect. I like that it's buffing health. So what Mike said with the possibility of taunts is really interesting to me. But the way that I play it, I just don't see it. I'd rather play Arbor up.
Gotcha. All right, let's move on to our next card, which is a 4-mana 3/5 beast named Thickhide Kodo. It has taunt and a death rattle of gain 5 armor. So this is definitely power creep on Dustingo. Yeah, same stats, same mana cost. It's got the death rattle, gain 5 armor. In a vacuum, it seems like a fine card. I rather not run this card in like you could get it off Oaken summons, I guess, but I rather have the what is it, the 3/9 or whatever, the Zeldrak Ritualist. If you're playing like a Hadronox Druid for the taunts, this messes that up. So I mean, maybe as a budget card somewhere. I'm going to give it a 2 just in case you're just going for armor in that style of deck. What do you think, Mike?
Yeah, I got to give it a 1. This card just seems too like plain, like arena card or like new player card. That's cool. But for me, it's a 1.
Okay, I don't hate it. I give it a 2. I think that we're starting to see them push this beast archetype that in Druid that they started like 5 years ago. I don't think it's great, but you could jam it in this beast build. You could jam it in Hadronox. It pulls from Oaken Summons. It's got the Death Rattle. So, I think that there's some fringe play in the right deck. I don't think it's a good card. I think it's a very average card, but I think it could possibly slot in. Sheep?
Yeah, for me, this is a 1. If I'm running Hadronox Druid, I want Hadronox to be the only beast. So Witching Hour is guaranteed to bring Hadronox back. If I'm running Oaken Summons, I want Vargoth and Zoldrak Ritualist to be the only 2 that I have in that deck. Standard, I think, runs this for like Guardian Animals Druid, but like in Wild, I think this is a 1 for me. Like, it's got possibility with it being a beast, but yeah, maybe eventually if we hit a critical mass and mid range becomes a thing, but that's not now. 1 for me.
Cool. All right, next card, guys. We have a 2-mana nature spell. This is one of the ranked spells called Living Seed. So at its first level, it reads draw a beast and reduce its cost by 1. Upgrades at 5 mana. Now at 5 mana, same effect. It draws a beast, but it now reduces by 2. And at 10 mana, it's draw a beast and reduces the cost by 3. So I don't know where this card goes. You could be fishing for your Hydronox if that's what you're playing. We aren't playing that deck. If there's another beast that we're looking for, I'm not sure what that is other than Hydronox. I see this as way too fringe playable, and Druid does some amazing, powerful things. I don't see this being played. I gave it a 1. What do you think, Mike?
I gave it a 2. I gave it fringe because this feels like a card that Clark Hellscream could figure out something cool to do with. Yeah. Outside of players like him, I'm not sure. So I gave it a 2. Nate?
I gave it a 3, and I'll tell you why. I think that it's the combination of it's 3. It just means playable. It's not even that great. But listen, it's anytime you can tutor a card, right? So take a look at Polkelt or something like that. Like, this says draw a beast, so I know pretty much what it's going to draw. So 2 mana, tutor, draw a card, plus reduce the mana. Like, I like that. The combination of that, like, it does all the broken stuff. I don't know where the heck we put it, but I feel like the draw a card and the mana reduction are both really good. The beast that's the part that is yet to be determined. But I'll give it a 3. I think that it can do something broken in the right deck.
So here's the right deck. We got Celestial Alignment, which we'll touch on later. We've got a whole lot of mana ramp, particularly with us in Wild. Instead of going hard in on dragons, which we've done with Druid in the past, we could go hard in on beasts. So we've either got big beasts, so that later guardian animals, everything costs 1. We can pull out ginormous beasts from our deck for 1 mana that pulls those buddies out. Kind of dead if you haven't played Celestial Alignment before. It's a high rolly deck. This is only going to cost 1, period. So, like, if we don't have 5 mana because we played Celestial Alignment, it's drawing 1, but it's going to cost 0 now because everything in our deck costs 0. That's not going to be a meta deck. I was going to go with 2, but, like, I don't know. Like, I see so many possibilities of making this, like, meme actually, like, be able to scam stuff. I think I may have talked myself into a 3. No, it's a 2. Like, it's not going to be good. It's going to be fringe in this specific thing. But, like, there's so many things that I'm excited to try out. Like, it's a 2, but it's a fun 2. So 2 for me.
All right. Next card we have is another 2 mana spell, Mark of the Spike Shell. This is a nature spell, and it reads, give a minion +2/+2. If it has taunt, add a copy of it to your hand. So I could see you putting this on something like Ziliax, so you could get a bigger heal. You get another Ziliax in your hand. That looks really annoying. I don't know what other taunt minions you're wanting to throw back into your hand. You can always get a little cute by playing Defender of Argus or something to taunt stuff up. But it does not seem like I'm putting this in a deck that anybody's currently playing. It's a neat card. Maybe I'll discover it and something cool will happen. But I'm also going to give this a 1 because I don't see it going in any meta decks. What do you think, Mike?
Yeah, so I gave this card a 3, actually. I think it's playable. I like the idea that you can copy a taunt minion and add it to your hand. If it slips down to 2, that's okay with me in the future. Like, I just like the idea of copying taunt minions. Like you had mentioned, Ziliax, you got your card 2 defenders, cards like Lich King. But yeah, I give it a 3. Nate?
Yeah, I gave it a 2. I mean, I think it can see fringe play. I mean, when I looked at it initially, it's like, look, I don't really care about the buff, but I see it as a value generator where I'm getting another copy back into my hand. And so this can slot in your like kind of Death Rattle Hadronox deck that like we all try to play for a week, realize that it's not good, and wait until the next season to try it again. But, I mean, I would absolutely love to discover this. Like, anything that says discover a nature spell, like I'd be happy to get this. This is a value engine. So what do you think, Sheep?
Yeah, absolutely everything you just said. 2 for me. Hadronox Druid will play it. Hadronox Druid won't be meta. Fringe play. It's playable, but on the fringe. So 2 for me.
Hey, before we advance, I just want to highlight something Hydra said because it might be something. If a minion that you play doesn't have taunt, and then you play the 2 as Argus, not support man. Yeah, if you give it taunt,
right,
and this puts it into your hand. Oh, I'm sorry. I would like if it put that into your hand, like Hydra said, because then you could put anything back into your hand. You know what I'm saying?
Correct. Yeah.
Right.
You can
put anything into your hand, but the one in your hand won't have taunt. If it did not originally have taunt.
Yeah.
But it can put anything into your hand. Right.
Yeah, that blends into Nate's idea about value. This card is cool. I'll shut up. Sorry. Let's go.
It's got so much possibility.
It definitely does. I don't see where it goes, but you can do some cool things. I mean, people hate it when you play Reno more than once, right? Reno Druid, let's go.
Oh yeah. Seance.
Highlander Druid, let's go.
Yeah, it's Seance for Druid. Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to the next card. It's a 2-mana, 2/3 minion called Razormane Battleguard. The first taunt minion you play each turn costs 2 less. So this can go into another taunt style deck if we're doing the Hydronox sort of thing. If this lives, I think that it can snowball. If you can play this and then you can hide it behind a taunt, especially if you're going against a board-based sort of aggressive deck, they can't kill it. It can snowball. Whether I think that it's going to be playable is super iffy. Like I said, we don't have a deck like this currently other than the Hydronox Druid. I'm going to give it a 2 as fringe playable. I don't foresee this. We're not going to see this guy too often, in my opinion. What do you think, Mike?
I gave it a 3, and that was on like blind faith and blind hope, which is really dumb. But this is like one of the 2 cards I'll do it for this set. Yeah, so I give it a 3. I just like the ability. Like, it just seems cool.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. So this is one of the 2 cards I have like a cool hope for. So Nate, what do you think?
Oh man, I'm a little skeptical. I was excited when I first saw it, and then the more I thought about it, I ended up giving it a 1. I think that the mana reduction is good, but it relies on the card. You have to play the card, and then it's got to stick in order for you to use the reduction. So it feels slow to me. And so, it's decent stats for the body, but like I'm kind of skeptical that I'd be playing it. Sheep?
Yeah, for me, Hadronox Druid is all about value. And this is more kind of a tempo card. Like, yeah, if it sticks and you get value, but it's not generating anything. Like, it's just making other things cheaper, which isn't bad. Like, it's not something that you actively don't want to do, but you're not generating anything. You're not starting anything. So you're putting something out there that you're not then like getting any, like, yeah, it's got like that tempo value, but like you want to be like generating something. Like, it's all about that value game. That's a greedy deck. So for me, this is a 1 just because like what we want to play it in, like it doesn't fit what we want to do with that deck. This may end up being a standard card, but I don't think it's a wild card. For me, it's a 1.
All right, right on. Let's move on to our first epic card. It is a 7-mana arcane spell for Druid called Celestial Alignment. It reads, set each player to 0 mana crystals and set the cost of all cards in hands and decks, plural, to 1. Mm-hmm. So each player resets, you're at 0. And all costs of all cards in your hand and your deck are now at 1. So this seems very scary to me. I don't, like, Druid's really, really good at putting down a Malagos and playing a bunch of cards. Now, we are going to be resetting our mana. All those spells are going to be cheap. Maybe you get a Thorson take on them. Maybe they go down to 0. I don't know. I'm kind of afraid of this card. I think that there could be some shenanigans going on. I'm by no means the Druid expert, but I'm definitely going to call this playable as a 3. I'm excited to hear what you guys think. Mike, what do you got for me?
Yeah, I put this. I wish it was like a 3.5 because I want to put it at 4, but it's 3. Like, I just know that once the rhythm for like what this deck does becomes like in place, like it'll just be there, and I don't see it going away. Like, I see what the ability is, and I just know that there's a world of possibilities. And I'm just going to keep this review short, and I will say a 3 just to play it safe.
All right.
I like it.
Yeah, I'm giving this a 4. I have already seen a couple of people post deck lists. I think Concerned Mom will break the meta with this card. Burnt will have a field day with this card. I would have probably, I thought about giving it a 5, and the only reason I didn't was that when it sets both players to 0 mana crystals, changes the cost of all the cards to your hand and the deck to 1, so like you can't play those cards until next turn. Now your innervates and your mana generation cards now are going to cost 1 as well. And so, the earliest, if you want to use your cheap cards the same turn that you play this, you've got to have at least 8 mana. Now, ramp is not a problem for Druid, right?
Yeah.
But, or there's probably ways, right? If, y'all remember like Naga Sea Witch and playing a bunch of zero mana giants. And so there will be ways to break the meta with this card. So I'm giving it a 4. I'm probably missing something. Like, I'm not the Druid player typically, but I think that this has got some crazy like explosive potential.
It was on your tongue. You were going to say Twig of the World Tree.
There it is.
There you go. Did I miss it? Like, is there could be,
I think you're going to say it.
So if you've got 8 mana and you play this, then you have 0 mana. So
oh, you're right. You're right. Okay.
Yeah. It doesn't behoove you to hold on to this a little bit longer unless you want to use 1 mana first. I love this card though. Like I was saying earlier, we can make big Druid beast centric with like guardian animals. All of a sudden that's pulling out big old beasts instead of like kind of mid-tier ones. I think this is going to help make big Druid a thing either with the beast variant or with the dragon variant or with both. Like this just makes it to where, oh, hey, you're aggro. Guess what? You're only playing your like 1 card this next turn. Oh, you're only your Savage Roar only costs 1, but like odds are I've been putting out like stop gaps, I've been controlling the board, and then I can play Wild Growth. Then I can like get stuff to where I'm playing big stuff, big threats immediately. The issue is that I have to get to 7 mana first, but I'm playing Druid. That's not going to be an issue. So I can't quite go 5 because I don't think this is going to be meta defining, but I think that this is going to make Big Druid more consistent. I have to go 4 with this. This is going to shore up meta decks, and it's going to make Big Druid much more meta, whether that's a tier 3 deck or not. So,
I do think I want to chime in that this affects both players, right? And so if you're playing against an aggro opponent, this really doesn't hurt you at all, probably. Maybe a little bit, but not very much. But if you're playing against a control opponent, like, oh, cool. I get to play my Void Callers and my Blood Reaver Gul'dan on turn 8. Like, oh, rock and roll. Like, there are going to be times when you're going to get like an oops emote after someone plays this. But I think for the most part, it's, this one will be, we'll see some like trolled in videos of people playing this. It's like, it reminds me of Illucia that we're going to misplay it sometimes before we learn how to do it right. Or there's going to be times where this comes back to bite you. But it does feel quite strong to me.
The right time to play this is on turn 3 with double Lightning Bloom.
Oh my god. Wow. All right.
Yep. Sounds good.
Sounds like a tavern brawl. Okay, go, everybody.
Right?
That's hilarious. Okay, let's move on to our next Druid card. It is another epic. It is a 7 mana 7/6 beast, Druid of the Plains, with the text Rush. Frenzy, transform into a 6/7 Kodo with taunt. So I like this card. It could possibly slot into a beast druid or a big beast druid, as we were talking about before. It's not that beefy, but it's a 2-for-1. So it has the rush and frenzy, meaning when it survives damage, it now transforms. So you can plop this down. You can trade with it very efficiently. And if it has any health left, it will now transform into a 6/7 with taunt. So it's a 2-for-1 card. It's a beast. We can play it in that above deck, or we can play it in some sort of a taunt druid, as that's what it turns into. I think it's pretty cool. I don't think it's meta breaking or anything, but I think it is playable, and I'm going to give it a 3. Mike, what do you think?
Yo, I attack, I protect. I gave it a 3. It's perfect. What you think, Nate?
Yeah, I gave it a 3 as well. This card actually seems really strong to me. Like immediate impact, right? You play it, like the rush is what really saves this card. Like, you play it, you kill something, and then it turns into a defensive card. And like, plus it's got the beast tag, plus it's got the taunt tag. Like, there's some utility here. I gave it a 3. I think it's pretty good. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the only thing keeping this from being a 4 to me is the fact that it has a beast tag, and that the token has a beast tag. Because otherwise, you'd play this in Hadronox Druid, and it would make it that much stronger. That said, Guardian Animals Big Druid, like, I think it's going to be a meme, but I think it's going to be relatively strong. So I'm still going with 3. This is an all-around strong card. The Rush Frenzy, like a lot of the Frenzy things, not having Rush is what is kind of their downfall. This is all-around playable. Beast Druid, Big Druid, just probably not Taunt Druid. So solid 3, almost a 4 for me.
Nice.
All right. Oh, sorry. Do you have something, Nate?
Nope. I like it when we all agree, though. That's fun.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on to our first Druid Legendary. It is a 3 mana 2/4 minion, Guff Rune Totem. After you cast a nature spell, give another friendly minion +2/+2. So I don't see this going in some sort of a token deck. You can already Savage Roar for that attack. I'm sure this could snowball. I'm not sure what all our nature spells are. I'm sure you could snowball this with some sort of a charge minion. But I'm not putting this in a deck that currently sees play. I'm going to give this a 2 as fringe, just in case somebody plays a bunch of 0 mana spells on Leroy, and you just go face with it. So I'll give it a 2 just for fun. Mike, what do you think?
I gave it a 1 because when I researched like nature spells, I didn't find a lot. So until I see more in the future, I just give it a 1 for now.
Yeah, I had higher hopes for it. I'm gonna like I had it listed higher, but I hadn't looked at the nature cards. And in looking at the nature cards right now, especially for Druid, we're talking about Innervate, Living Seeds, Mark of the Spike Shell, Mark of the Wild.
Biggin.
Isn't Biggin on there? Is that nature?
Nature spell?
Wild Growth, Soul of the Forest,
Wait a second.
Nourish.
Earth and Scales.
I'm looking at
I
Hearth.
think this website's bugged.
Yeah, I was gonna say I might be looking at the wrong website here, but if it depends. This card is really dependent on the nature spells, and so okay. No, there's lots more for Wild here. Okay, there's some potential. What I'm curious about is I want to buff my other minions if I'm playing like a token style deck, and I don't know that this really fits in that. I'm gonna give it a 2. I think that this could do Embiggen could do some work maybe. I don't know. It seems a little skeptical. So I don't know. I'll give it a 2. I hope somebody proves me wrong. I like the idea, but
Yeah, I was all in on 1, and then I started looking at the nature spells, and like there are a lot of cheap ones in particular. I still don't know that I'm ever gonna run this in aggro druid. It's not a beast, so I'm not gonna run it in like a big beast druid.
what's the legendary right now? I'm not good with the name, but it has Rush and Wind Fury.
What's her name? The 3 mana.
The gain stats for the spell that you play. Glinda, yeah. Glinda's better, I think, in like if you're gonna play a legendary in a token deck, like you could play Glinda, and we've seen it, but even that's not that great. And so I mean I don't know. This doesn't give all your friendly minions +2/+2. This gives one friendly minion a +2/+2. I'm talking myself down to a lower score right now.
Yeah, like I want to give it a 2 because there are so many cheap nature spells, and if I can get one thing to stick and then just play Lightning Bloom, Innervate, like is Adorable Infestation a nature spell? I think it might be. But like then the whatchamacallit, the token that Adorable Infestation poops out could also get buffed. Like, I want to be high on this card. I really want to like it. I just don't. Like,
the one
I'm gonna give it a 1. Like, I want to like it. There's so much possibility of just going off with like, one infestation is not a nature spell. Like having one token on the board and then just playing a ton of really cheap nature spells and going off and buffing this one thing to go face for a ton. But I just don't see it. Like I want to see it because I love aggro druid. I love like incorporating something that has a ton of burst, but I just don't see it here. Maybe this is a standard card. Maybe I want to love it. I just don't see it.
Yeah. The one saving grace for me, I think, is that this is an effect that works, no matter every time you play a nature spell, you buff something. And so you can use this multiple times.
Yeah.
I mean,
and if you have one minion on the board that's not this, this is never going to buff itself because it's another friendly minion. So you already have something that can attack. Yeah. I think I may be talking myself into it too, but like, it's just not though.
Well, and if it was any spell, maybe it'd be great. You pair this with Auctioneer or something like that, and like Carl, right? That you could really go off, but because it's limited to nature spells only, it's going to be a lot more difficult to trigger than.
Yeah, Nature Studies is a nature spell, which kind of helps. Living Roots, but
The question is like, would you intentionally put this in your deck as a build around? And I think probably 9 out of 10 times the answer is no, right?
Yeah, we'll see something on Trollden, I think, at some point where someone has like one tiny token and then on turn 3 just goes completely bonkers.
Oh yeah, there's gonna be a immic
Or Stone Test 4.
Yeah, there'll be something. I'll stick with my 2. All right. What do we got next, Hydra?
Okay, we have our final legendary for Druid. It is a 4-mana 3/4 minion that reads, it's called Plague Maw the Rotting, and it reads, after a friendly minion with taunt dies, summon a new copy of it without taunt. So, the one really silly application that I can see with this, it would be very, very annoying with something like Bone Wraith, or Cartoot Defender. So after you kill the first one, you're going to get your reborn one that has the 1 health, and then you're going to get another one that doesn't have taunt. But when that one without taunt dies, if it works the way I think it's going to work, it will because it has reborn, it'll respawn a Cartoot Defender with the 1 health. So you can kind of go like get extra Cartoot Defenders.
Okay.
That's pretty cool. I like that.
Right? So like you kill 1 and then 2 pop out, right? And then so it seems like the most annoying thing in the world for like you're just going to keep healing. Or if you got Bone Race, it's not going to do the heal, but it'll do the similar thing. Seems really annoying. Seems cute. I don't know. I don't know if this is a very good card. It's definitely going to give you value. But I don't see where it's going. I've given this a 2 as very fringe playable. I think that's going to be a fun thing you can do. What do you guys think? How about you, Mike?
Yeah, for me, I like this card a lot. I looked at a lot of different taunt cards, and I pretty much landed on the idea you had. So not to talk too much more on that, but with the Cartoot Defender, I also came across this blog from Hearthstone. I think Immic had retweeted, and they had this combo in their blog. So in one sentence, Plague Maw can create 2 3/4s that summon 3 1s and restore a total of 12 health.
Yeah.
So I like this thing a lot. You know, Cartoot Defender dying, it'll generate new copies of it. They may not have taunt, but they'll still have reborn. So it's just so many minions on the board. So I think it's a cool combo. I'll give it a 2.
Yeah, okay. If this was a Warlock card, I would score it really high, okay? Like,
yeah, you would.
You know, if this was a Warlock card, I'd be giving it like a 4 or something, because there's so much potential there for like killing your own stuff. But like in Druid, I don't know. It's difficult to kill your own stuff in Druid, and I feel like this is it's very conditional, right? Like I appreciate the combo potential, and it'll be exciting when that stuff happens, but the stars have to align in just the right way for this to happen. And so I think the design is super cool, but making it actually work, like, I don't know. I'm sorry, you guys. I give it a 1. If you guys can make it work, I will happily eat my words on this one. But I think it's just going to be really difficult. Like, for the most part, I would be playing this as a 4-mana 3/4. And then hope it reminds me of Umbra, right? Where, there's some cool stuff that you can do with it, but you're going to have to tempo this out probably more often than you're able to use the combo potential. What do you think, Sheep?
I was all in on 1, and then I heard Hydra and Mike talk about it. And like there's, on turn 10 playing Cartoot and this, but like you have to get to turn 10, which Druid can do.
That's true.
With like the so much armor generation and everything like that. So I'm definitely not going to go 3 with it, but like I can see some fringe play for it. So I'll bump it up from my original 1 to a 2. Like y'all have convinced me.
Yeah, I like it.
Okay, well, up next we have the Hunter class.